What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Yejide, and if it's your first time stopping by, you are most definitely welcome. So on today's episode, I am going to be sharing with us how I made this beautiful short bubu. You can see this is exactly my size, and this is a size 12, I think. Yeah, so you can see this is going to be a very simple tutorial because this is very easy to make. So you can see, and you can also make this your desired length. You can make this style in a long bubu and also in a short bubu, like this that I am putting on. But for this tutorial, it's going to be the making of this bubu that I'm putting on. So guys, if this is something you're interested in, let's get right into the video. So guys, this is the material I'm going to be using, just like the one I used in my last tutorial. This is also batik. It is Kampala material. So right now you are going to need about 2 yards for this style. If you are making a short bubu, you are going to be needing about 2 yards. So now the first thing I'm going to do is to just fold this into 2. You can see this is folded already into 2. So this part facing me here is the center, and that part is on fold. So now guys, the first thing I'm going to measure is the length of this short bubu. So this short bubu, I want it to be 30 inches. I'm going to add 2 inches to that I'm going to use as my seam allowance. So right now you can see I'm going to add to mark 32 inches. Now the next thing I'm going to take is the measurement from the middle of my shoulder to where I want the sleeve length to get to. So for me, I want this to be 14 inches, and I am going to add 1 inch as my seam allowance. So just take the measurement from the middle of your shoulder to where you want your sleeve to get to, down to your elbow. So from that point guys, I'm going to come down by 9.5 inches. You can see this is going to serve as the space where my hand or arm is going to come out from, just like my armhole. So I'm going to add to mark 9.5 inches. You can see. Now the next thing is to measure the neck wideness, which is 3.5 inches, and from there I'll come down by 1.5 inches. You can see, just connect that and draw that back to the center front, because this is the front that we are cutting right now. So now from the beginning of this material, from that shoulder line, I'll come down to measure my hip line, which is 23 inches. You can see this is 23 inches. Yeah, 23 inches. So I'm gonna add to mark that. You can see. So on that line, I'm going to mark my hip circumference divided by 4. That is 40 divided by 4. That's 10 inches. And I'm going to add 3 inches to that for ease. You want this to be free, and 1 inch as my seam allowance. So from that armhole that I measured earlier, I'm just going to make a little curve like so. You can see what I'm doing. This is very easy to do. You don't need any instrument for this, and I'll just connect that to the measurement on the hip line that I have taken. You can see what I did. Just connect from your armhole to your hip line, your hip measurement. So from that armhole, as a guide, you can just mark in 1 inch and connect that back to your hip circumference measurement. And I'm just going to connect this to the hem line. That's the 32 inches that I marked as my full length. So that is it. We are almost done with this front pattern. So the next thing I'm going to do now is just to cut out this neck part. You can see, cut out the neck part, and I'm also going to cut this the measurement that I've made. I'm going to cut everything out. So you can see that this is very easy to make, guys. So here I am just making sure this is still 32 inches. So guys, I'm going to be using this to cut out the back also. So the front and the back are basically the same thing. The only difference is the front, you're going to cut a little from the center of the front to create your division. So now guys, just to give myself a little shape, to make this curvy, to bring out a little shape. I don't want this to just be very free around the bust area. So I'm just going to cut a little bit away from, you can see what I'm doing, just cut a little bit away from your bust to your waist and blend this back into your hip circumference. So just to create a little shape here. I hope you understand what I've done here, guys. So now guys, just like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to use this to cut out the back pattern. So I just placed this on the remainder of the material, and I'll trace out what I've cut out for the front pattern to also cut out the back pattern. So guys, after cutting out both parts, that's the front and the back, they're basically the same thing at this point. I'm just going to remove one and keep it aside. So for this one, I'm going to be using this as the front part. And so guys, from the center front, you can see what I've done. I just went ahead to mark 1.5 inches, and I'm going to connect this in a straight line. This is 1.5 inches that I've marked. You can see 1.5 inches. I'm just going to mark this, and when I'm almost at the top, I'm going to blend this into the neck wideness. You can see the neck wideness that I've cut out earlier. You can see what I've done here. So just blend that into the neck wideness you have, and I'm going to cut this part out. So we are going to be creating our neck collar with another material. This is how you can beautify your bubu. You can use another material rather for the center, which is also the neck collar. So now guys, the first thing we're going to do is to create our pockets. So now you can see I'm using an entirely different material again to create, colors to make this colorful and stylish. So I'll just split this into two, this material, because we are going to be having two pockets at the front. So now guys, the length of the pocket, you can see this is 10 inches. It is 10 inches long and it is 9 inches wide. So it is the same thing for the second pocket, 10 inches long, 9 inches wide. So now guys, to create yet another effect to make this more stylish, I'm going to be using this crepe material as a facing on my pocket. So now remember that the pocket wideness is 9 inches. So I'm gonna add to mark 9.5 inches for the wideness also of this crepe material, and the length here you can see is 2.5 inches. So I'll take that again. The length is 2.5 inches, while the wideness is going to be the same thing as the wideness of the pocket, but I just added half inch. So the wideness here is 9.5 inches for this crepe material, just to be on the safer side. It's better for the crepe to be longer than for it to be shorter, you understand? So now the next thing I'm going to do is to place this crepe on my pockets, and I'm going to place this at the top, right side facing right side, and you can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to sew this at the edge by half of an inch. I'll do the same thing to the other side. Sew this down by half of an inch. So here it is guys, I'm gonna add to sew this down. I sew this right side facing right side, don't forget. So I'll just open this up, and I'm going to take this to the ironing table to iron it very well so it can lay flat. So after ironing, you can see I'm just going to turn this to the other side, which is going to be the right side. So here it is guys, this is very simple to do. I'll just place this. You can see what I'm doing now. The wrong side of the crepe is facing the right side of the pocket. So now the next thing is to sew down this crepe to this pocket, and I'll do that by just folding the crepe by half of an inch. You can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to fold this in, and I'm going to sew this down. So sew this down by half of an inch on your crepe. So you can see that this is very simple to do. I'll iron this when I'm done. So guys, you can see this is looking very beautiful already, and it is laying flat. So guys, before we sew down our pocket, the next thing to make our sewing very easy on the sewing machine, I'm going to iron down the 3 sides of the pocket. You can see I'm going to iron down these sides by half of an inch, and also the bottom here. I'll do the same thing to the other side. So here it is guys, I'm gonna add to iron the edges. This is so that it can be very easy for me to sew down. So now guys, we are going to sew this pocket on the front cuts. So now guys, to know where you are going to place your pocket at, measure your half length, which is also your waistline. Mine is 16 inches, and I'm going to come down from that measurement by 1 inch. So I'm going to have to mark 17 inches, and from the center front guys, I'm going to come in by 2 inches. I hope you can see what I've gonna add to do there. So at that point, I'm going to place my pocket, and I'm going to sew this down using the color of the thread of my crepe. I'm going to use a pink thread to sew this down on all 3 sides. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side of my front part. Come down by 1 inch after my half length, so that's 17 inches, and from the center front, come in by 2 inches. So just like I did for the first part, I'm also going to place the pocket on this measurement I've taken, and I'm going to sew this down at all 3 sides. So here it is, guys. I've gone ahead to sew down my pockets using the color of the crepe as my thread. So you can see that this is looking very beautiful already, even without finishing the bubu. So now, guys, it is time to join the back part to the front part, and I'm going to open up the back part. You can see I'm going to lay down the right side. So I'll turn this to the right side. You can see the right side is the shiny part. So now I'm going to place one part of the front part on the back. Just place this accordingly, and I'm going to use my pins to hold down this part, and I'm going to sew down this shoulder part by 1/2 inch. I'll do the same thing to the other side. I'll sew this down by 1/2 inch, and I will bring it back to show us when I'm done. So guys, you can see I've gone ahead to join the shoulders. You can see that this is coming out very nice already. So now, guys, the next thing I'm going to do is to just hem the sleeve part. So I'm going to open this up, you can see, and I'll just fold this sleeve part. I'll fold this twice, and I'm going to run a straight stitch on this. This is very easy to do. I'll do the same thing to the other side. So here it is, guys. I'm gonna add to hold down both sleeves. You can see looking very beautiful. So now, guys, the next thing is to place our neck collar, which is also our middle piece. So now, guys, I'm not going to use the same material for the neck collar, but the first thing I'm going to do is to first take the length of what we have in the middle as our neck collar. So from the end of this bubu, you can see I'm just going to take the measurement like so. So I'll take the measurement from the end of one bubu to the center. That's the neck, the back neck. So let's see what we have here. So here it is, guys. We have about 35 inches. So this means on the other part of the bubu too, from the other neck down to the other edge, we also have 35 inches. All right, so 35 inches in two places, that's the length of the bubu. So guys, you can see this dress, this bubu, I made a tutorial in my last video. So the remainder of the materials from making this dress, that was what I joined together because I wanted to make this very colorful. So you can see this is the pieces. So now, guys, it is on fold here. Now let's take the length of this. Remember that the length of one part of our bubu is 35 inches. So I just had excess. So here I have 40 inches, and I have this in two places. And now the wideness is 2 inches. Don't forget we removed 1.5 inches from the middle of this bubu. So now on fold it is 2 inches. So I'm just going to open up both strips, and I'll sew down the middle. So you can see here I'm gonna add to join the middle. So guys, it is time to place the collar to the bubu. So at that point where I joined both collars together, I'm going to place those joinings on the back. That's the middle of the neck on the back, and I'll sew this collar down. You can see it is on fold. I went ahead to iron this so it can be very easy for me when I want to sew. So I'm going to sew this down by 1/2 inch to the front part of this bubu. You can see. So guys, just make sure to use a different color aside from what you use for your bubu as your neck collar, so that this will come out very beautiful and colorful. So I'll join down the other part too. So just join this down by 1/2 inch. This is very simple to do. So guys, you can see I would rather have excess than have my collar being shorter than the bubu, right? So I've gone ahead to cut out the excess I have. And now, guys, the next thing is to join down both collars in the middle. Don't forget this is a short bubu. So I'm going to, from the neck, I'm going to come down and mark 7 inches. You can see from the neck on the back, I just came down and marked 7 inches on my collar. So now, guys, it is that point where I marked the 7 inches. I'm going to hold both parts, and I'm going to start joining this by half, not even up to 1/2 inch, just by a little bit, to the end of this bubu. Just join this down a little bit. You don't have to use 1/2 inch, that's too much. So here it is, guys. You can see I've gone ahead to join this, and at this starting point I made sure to double stitch, back stitch to tighten that part so that it doesn't come loose. So I'll turn this to the other side. You can see this is what it looks like. So now guys, to join our armhole, I'm going to come down from the starting point and mark 8 inches. You can see that is where I want, that is how free I want the armhole to be. I don't want it to be too big, so from that 8 inches I will just sew this down by half of an inch to the edge or the end of this boo-boo. I'll do the same thing to the other side. So guys, this is on the wrong side. I'll mark 8 inches, and from that point I will sew this down by half of an inch. So here it is guys, I've gone ahead to join down the sides of my boo-boo. You can see that this is a very simple tutorial. There are very easy steps to follow. So I'll just turn this to the other side, and I'll make sure to iron this part very well so it can lay very flat. So guys, the last thing is to hem the edge of our boo-boo. I'm just going to roll this twice or fold this twice, and I'll join that. So guys, this is the finished look. I already showed how the outcome of this boo-boo was in the beginning. Please don't forget to like this video and also subscribe if you haven't already. I'm going to see you all in the next video. Bye.